Welcome back to the session 4, day 4 of the workshop. And today we are going to focus on patent searching and the types of patent searching. I hope yesterday's session was not very hectic and all the basic information about patents to set a platform to understand patent searching and patent drafting was triggered. And I hope to receive many questions from your side in view of that, because since the basic foundation would be unclear, it would be very difficult to understand the requirements of various parts, various sections of a patent draft or patent specification or patent application. And thus, I would expect many questions from your side if at all any of the concepts are not clear or any of the points you want me to uh, reiterate. Today's session is, though the contents of the specification are not much, but today's session would be another hectic session wherein I shall try to explain you the importance of the searching, different types of the searching and the perspective on which the searching can be taken forward. Apart from that, we are also going to see how a particular search is actually performed on some of the databases. I'm going to show some live demonstrations to you in this particular session. Very easy, but maybe you may not be aware of those things, and that is the reason why you may feel that patent searching is something which is very different or difficult task or a rocket science kind of thing. So that will help you to yourself perform some of the searches for the inventions that you may have or your friends or your family members may have. So let us proceed further. Before going directly to the prior art searching and the requirements of patent searching, let me just come on the same page with the requirements, as in terms of why patent searching is really required from the perspective of filing a patent application or getting a grant of it. Uh, this particular flowchart is the flowchart which we discussed yesterday about the life cycle of a patent application, and this is all the steps that are involved in the granting of a patent application. You may note that in these steps there is no mentioning of a patent search, right? All these steps are performed at the patent office side. For example, filing, once we do it, the publication, examination, and then issuance of the examination report, everything happens at the patent office side. So where does the role of patent searching comes into picture? It is really essential to understand. One more point that you need to appreciate is, like in the step number 105, that is once the request for examination is filed, an examination of a patent application is performed. That is, a scrutiny of the application which we have filed in step 101 is performed at step 106. The examiner to whom the case is allocated, he performs a search, and this search is referred to as patent search. Now, since the examiner is the person who is performing the patent search, then why are we discussing about it in this particular session? A very obvious question that may come to your mind. But the essential of the patent search is that, which I also discussed indirectly with you, is that if in step 106, examiner finds out that there was something exactly like your invention or overlapping concept like your invention already available in the literature or the prior art, you will not get a patent, because there will be no differences between your invention and their prior art reference which he has cited. Similarly, if in this step number 106, if he finds that you yourself have published an IEEE research paper or a journal or a thesis which has your invention in detail or explained in detail, he will still not be in state of granting you a patent, because novelty is absolute in nature, and any publication or disclosure prior to the filing of a patent application is considered as novelty destroying. This concept was also seen by us yesterday. I hope you recall that. Now, the patent searching, what we are going to discuss today, is something different from what the examiners do. Though it is on the similar line, but the step where this patent search is to be performed is completely different from the step 105. We, or I am planning to discuss with you that the searching or a prior art searching, or also referred to as patentability searching, is recommended to be performed before the step 101. That is, before you file a patent application, you should be sure that whatever contents I am writing in my complete specification, or whatever subject matter that I want to indicate that it is my invention which solves this particular problem and provides a solution for, that is not at all disclosed or not at all available before I file a patent application for it, right? Thus, this particular session will be focused completely on the steps which are performed before the filing of a patent application, right? This is very important to understand. Let us move on. What is a prior art search? As the name indicates, prior art, these are two different terms. I guys, I hope you must have noted that whatever terms that are introduced in intellectual property right, I strongly recommend you to break them to understand the meaning of it. Same concept was seen while we discussed about trademark, a mark which represents a trade. Same was happened with trade secret, secret which is associated with a trade. Same is the concept of prior art. You break the terms and you will automatically understand the meaning of it. Prior, as the normal English, it means it is earlier or existing, and art is nothing but an art, or let us say literature or a knowledge that is available before something. So earlier or existing knowledge. That is a simple understanding and simple explanation of the term prior art. I hope there is no question on this because it's a very simple confirmation. Let us go on. Let us move on to a next particular thing. Prior art from the perspective of patents is actually, considered and non-considered. So what things actually during the prior art in patents are considered and not considered? That is what this particular slide talks about. So for example, whenever you do a prior art search, all the information that is available in public domain is considered. So what all things can be available in public domain? When, as the name indicates, public domain means any knowledge of a person that may be in written form or that may be in an oral form. So for example, any public displayed document or any published document that is available in the art, what is the source of publication? One is books, other is newspaper, third is internet. Absolutely. So electronic documents whichever are published in public domain, that may also be considered as a kind of published database or a publicly displayed information. So in short, whenever we try to say that which particular database or which particular source is considered while we consider for patent searching, then the immediate answer that comes to your mind is that whatever is available on the internet is considered as published knowledge, right? So nowadays, even the books that we studied in, from first standard till the graduation or post graduation, and even after that, everything is available on the internet, and thus internet is a kind of database or a source which includes all the possible disclosures or displays available in the world, not only in India, right? Second example is oral disclosure. So for example, when two friends or two people discuss anything, whatever is the knowledge of one person is always shared with the other person. Now this may be published or this may not be published, right? So this knowledge is also considered as oral disclosure and considered as a prior art during the patent search. Most importantly, traditional knowledge, as we discussed in the last sessions, that traditional knowledge is a knowledge which is with us or which is ancestrally transferred from one generation to other generation, but it has really important requirement or important impact on the particular object or particular thing. So this knowledge is also considered, also treated as the searching, or let us say also considered as a prior art according to the patent searching. Now, what things are not considered? On the right hand side, you will see that these informations, for example, any information which is not available in public domain. What can be the example of this information? Any secret information which is not available in public domain, right? Now, this information may be secret or this information may be hidden. So, for example, let us say how the Rafale, the jet, how it works, right? So for example, I'm just giving an example. Okay, this information may be hidden from normal public because it is a matter of a security or national security, and thus how it works internally or what all parts are important from the perspective of working of this Rafale jet is not disclosed to normal public, and thus any public information which is not available or not disclosed to public is referred to as a non-public information, right? Or it is known to few specific people, that is also referred to as non-public information. In very simple term, layman term, any information that is not available on the internet is called as non-public information, right? This is clear? Great. Now another type of example of a non-public information is trade secret. Formula of Coca-Cola, formula of Pepsi, not Pepsi, formula of the KFC, the masala of KFC. These are all examples of not considered during the search or non-public information or hidden information. Documents for internal use circulation in company, for example the NDAs, the salaries of people, that may not be publicly available. For example, if any person, or let us say if any person is a part of an private institution or a college, his salary may not be a mandate of a public affair. So it is not mandatory for him to reveal his salary to any general public or internet, right? Such informations are just an example of documents for internal use or circulation. What can be the relevant example of this particular part? So technical specifications of a particular document or a product which are not yet disclosed in public, or the product is not yet launched in the public. So any technical specification or design diagrams associated with the product are considered as documents for internal use of, for circulation of the company. Now, these are the two different or two separate types of mandates, wherein whether to consider or whether to not consider it as a part of prior art is considered. Moving on, what is a prior art search, right? What is a prior art search basically? That is a very basic question that would come to your mind. Now, you may have understood or you may have noted that I am using the term prior art search and patentability search interchangeably, because patentability search and all other type of search are examples of prior art search. So they cannot be used interchangeably, but normally when we discuss, when we talk, we generally refer to, or let us say under very thin line of difference, we refer to as a prior art search as a patentability search, because anything that is available uh, in the art is referred to as a prior art, and patentability search is anything that affects or that impacts the patentability of the invention is called as patentability search. So these are all interchangeably used. Now, now very general strategy, that is to very general strategy. We are going to go into details of each and every strategy, but at the moment, let us talk about general strategy. We need to find the source or find the information in any form. Now let us understand, let us do a normal, let us take a very simple examples in real time scenario. If I want to find a particular, object or particular, let us say anything, let us say for example, if I want to find a mobile phone which is of Samsung company and it has 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of internal memory, and I want to find such phone, how will I find it? One way is by going at a shop and asking the owner of the shop whether you have such phone, right? Second example is by seeing in the on the website of Samsung whether they have any similar kind of phone suiting my requirements. Third source is finding on internet widely or in general by putting it in a query that I want a mobile phone which is of Samsung company and it has 4 GB of RAM and whatever requirements as per my knowledge. These are the very basic general search that we do. Now why I'm discussing this, because similar factor, similar approach is considered when we do a patent search. It is not a rocket science, and that is the reason I'm again saying the term, it is not a rocket science. The only point is it is more focused and target oriented search, and that is the reason it would be a bit difficult as compared to the normal search that we do on a wild search that we do on a Google. So according to the prior art search, an effort to identify a prior art is to be required, and it is very mandatory to identify a prior art when you do a patent search. Everything is there in the prior art, you just have to find it. Now who finds it first and who finds it in a better manner or in a faster speed is actually the point of discussion here. So I am just going to help you and all understand these are the requirements and this is how it is done. But it totally depends on your personal skills, like what terms or what keywords that you use. For example, let's take the same case of Samsung phone. Somebody may type just like Samsung 64 4 RAM, and they will be able to see the result which are much better as compared to the query. For example, I am looking for a Samsung phone which has 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of internal memory. So as compared to these two things, now it is totally a perspective of a person who is searching it. So a smart person would try to find the results in minimal keywords but specific keywords associated with the target, whereas a person or an average person will try to go into details or try to briefly explain. Internet, uh, the computers, they are dumb, they won't understand when you try to explain them in a manual manner. So try to be specific, try to be bang on to the target, and try to use only the keywords which are relevant to the subject matter or the target search. Right now, how or what the efforts can include: one is search on the patent and non-patent databases. Now patent and non-patent databases are the two different types of databases that are available on the internet, wherein, as the name indicates, any database which is only associated with patents is called as patent database, whereas any database which is not referred to or not a part of, or not, does not include any patent related activities or patent related documents, they are referred to as non-patent database. What are the examples? So for non, we are going to go see the examples of patent databases, but for non-patent databases, the examples are IEEE research paper or IEEE site. Then there is Google Scholar, one of the best databases for finding the technical IEEE papers and other journal papers. Elsewhere, these are all examples of non-patent databases. Any particular Thomson Reuters or Thomson Innovations general public site which has all the information about the ups and downs in the market, all these are examples of non-patent databases. Yahoo search engine and all the search engine, normal Google search engine is also an example of a non-patent database. So Google database itself can be considered under non-patent database. Similarly, a specific dedicated site which gives you a particular information about a patent related activities or only patents, it is categorized under the patent database. The most important attempt, and the first attempt has to be made to find if patents for similar subject matter or whatever information you have is available on any of these databases or not. That is patent database and non-patent database. Second is do a general internet search. Now, when we talk about non-patent databases, general internet search falls in that particular category only. But still, it is required that even if you do not segregate the type of databases, you can say that any general internet search can also be considered for non-patent databases. By consulting experts in the field. So for example, I use the term person skilled in the art yesterday and day for yesterday during the discussion. I don't know how many of you have noted that. Let me reiterate the definition. A person skilled in the art is a person or the expert in the area of technology who has been working and who has worked in that particular area from considerable amount of time, let us say more than 3 or 4 years, right? So for example, if an R&D engineer or let us say if an IT engineer is considered, he is a person skilled in the art for information technology related matter as compared to a person or engineer who has taken graduation in the information technology field. So let's take a real-time example about me. So I have done my bachelor's and master's in IT, but I'm not working in information technology domain. So I may not be considered as expert in IT because even though I have 9 years of experience, but I'm not working in this particular field. In contrast to this, if any person who is working in the field of IPR, field of IT from more than 3 or 4 years, he would be treated as a person skilled in the art. So consulting with such experts in the field can also generate a relevant information about your invention, and then you can consider using that to decide whether your search is different or whether it is somewhat, what do you say, it is unique in itself or not. Physical search. So physical search is like, there are many sources of information which are not available on internet. So you may have to go physically on in those particular places for finding the information and digging the information relevant to the subject matter. So I think physical search, the most better example is like exhibitions, book exhibitions, and other things where all the information about the very old books are available, or historical monuments and stuff where this information is available. So all these things are mentioned in the those particular literature, and those are available only for physical reading and not for internet usage or digitalization. So such search can also be considered under the purview of the prior art search. Now, the most important part is what are the different types of prior art, and what are basically when to decide which prior art is to be done, which prior art is to be performed. So this is very important concept, and it needs to be really understood that which relevant prior art is to be done, which relevant prior art search is to be done, and why and when. That is really important. Okay, so the same information is available on the next slide as well. So the different types of prior art include novelty search, patentability search, infringement search, freedom to operate come clearance to search, then there is validity search, then there is invalidity search, IP landscape white space analysis, or grayscale analysis. These are all interchangeable terms. Okay, so these are the basic. There are many other types of searching, but these are the very basic and important search from the perspective of a person who is interested in the field of IPR, and especially from patent searching perspective. First and most important is novelty search. As the name indicates, a search which is used to identify whether an invention or a subject matter is novel or not is referred to as novelty search. So you may appreciate that novelty being the most important criteria of getting a patent granted. When a person doesn't search for it, for example, the examiner, he may try to target on this particular category of search to find whether the inventions are novel or not, whether his or her invention is novel or not, right? So for example, if a document, let us say for example, let's take a simple example. For example, if a person who is filing a patent application, he himself have published his PhD thesis 6 months back to a university, and university has published it on their own website which is available on the internet. So this examiner, when he do a novelty search, he will just type the name of the title of the patent or name of the project and the name of the author or the inventor in patent's case, and he would be able to see that you have already published this invention in a thesis form 6 months back. That means your invention is already known to public. Will you get a patent? No, absolutely not, because that is what we discussed yesterday. So first and most important type of search is done on by the examiner or the by the patent office is called as novelty search. They will try to find any publications that are available under the name of the inventors, under the name of the people who are involved in drafting and filing of a patent application, and they will try to analyze whether the subject matter, whatever you have written in the patent application, is it matching with the published information, that if that at all it is available or not. If it is available, they will straightforward write it in their examination report that your invention is not novel because you have already published it, or there is some document which is already published in this particular thing. Let's take another example, similar scenario. Your invention, which was actually a kind of very interesting subject matter, and somebody in Japan was also working on the similar subject matter, and he has already published it in his IEEE research paper couple of months back, which you were not at all aware of, and you directly filed a patent for it in India. Now the publication was an IEEE publication, so it is available on the internet. So what examiner would try to do here is like the examiner would see whether similar kind of concept and the similar type of the way of implementation, whether it is available somewhere in the prior art or not, right? So what will happen is like as soon as he put the relevant keywords for your invention, he would be able to see that a person who has who is a Japanese inventor or author, he has already published it in a IEEE research paper. So even that document would be considered as a novelty destroying document for your invention. Is this clear? Yes. So most importantly, one thing what needs to be appreciated here, I don't know if you guys have gathered that or not. If any person or you yourself have disclosed your invention in any form, so it is not mandatory that for destroying the novelty of an invention only patents are considered as a prior art. No, anything that is available in the literature, be it YouTube video, be it a LinkedIn profile which discloses the information about the invention, be it an IEEE research paper, be it a normal white paper, or be it a defensive publication, all these things can be considered as a prior art. This is most important thing to understand here, and that is the reason I'm stressing more on the fact that paper, IEEE paper, journal, and this thing, right? In contrast to this, if let us assume that you and your friend were partners in a project during your graduation, and down the line after 6 months after the submission of the uh, project, you thought that I should file a patent for it. But what you realized is like your friend has already filed a patent application for it before you even file it. So we were not aware of it. So what would happen is like when the examiner at the last stage 105 or 106, if he does a patent search, he would be able to see your friend's patent application because he has filed it before you. And he will say that, boss, see, the subject matters are overlapping, and using the first to file concept, whosoever has filed the patent first, he would be given the priority and your patent application would be cancelled or rejected. Right? This is very important to understand. And that is the reason first to file is very important concept here. Now this is done by the examiner. The same search can be done from our side also. And this needs to be done before you file a patent application. Otherwise, you will not come to know what is there in the art or not. So when a search is done by the examiner and the results are obtained, it is called as examination report. And whenever a search is done by us, whether you do a report or not, it has to be done before the filing of a patent application. I hope novelty search is pretty much clear to you, right? Now, patentability search. What is the meaning of patentability search? As the name indicates, a search which is used to check the patentability of the invention. Whenever we talk about patentability or the patentability search, it is always associated with the three basic criteria of patent. What are the three basic criteria of getting a patent granted? One is novelty, second is inventive step, third is industrial applicability. Absolutely correct. So you may note that the novelty search which was conducted in the first phase, that is by default a part of the patentability search. Thus, people try to prefer patentability search than considering only novelty search. Novelty search is only a target oriented search wherein whether any publication about your invention overlapping with your invention or not is checked. Whereas the scope of the patentability search is much more broader because it also covers the inventive step and industrial applicability during the search. This is clear. So when we do a patentability search, as the name indicates, we try to check whether our invention is new or not. That's the first important concrete criteria. How to decide new or not? Anything you yourself or any of your competitors have published which is 100% or 99% overlapping with your invention will destroy the novelty. That means your invention will not be considered as new if you find such kind of literature in the prior art, right? So first and most concrete requirement of patentability search is novelty. Second important step is to decide whether your invention has inventive step or not. Now in inventive step, the most important part or most important thing that is found is that whether there was any problem that was available in the existing technology which you are trying to solve, whether somebody else has also tried to solve the same problem. So any results which are associated with solving such problem are considered during the search. Any result that may or may not be relevant. Second is they will focus on the solution that you have proposed. So the solution to solve the problem would also be focused. So the solution, similar solution or similar type of solutions that are used by the people across to solve that particular problem are also considered relevant during the search. Is this clear? So this is what is the first sub criteria of inventive step, that is technical advancement over the prior art or economical significance or both. And the second subpart says and non-obvious, and your invention should be non-obvious. That means during the patentability search and especially inventive step criteria, this search also tries to see whether any of the literature that is found in the prior art, whether that can be combinable or not to arrive or achieve at your invention. Now, whenever we say combinable or not, the person skilled in art always comes into picture, and that is the reason if we are not the researchers from that particular area or expertise from that particular area, we may not be able to identify whether it is combinable or not, and hence by default we put it in the category of relevant subject matter or relevant invention. I hope this is clear to you. This is very important to understand, right? Third and most important criteria here is about industrial applicability. So whenever we do a search or whenever we try to understand the invention, we ourselves would come to know whether this particular subject matter is hypothetical or imaginary, or whether it can be made or used in industry or not. In short, applicability of the invention comes into picture. So whenever this criteria is checked, and this is by default applicable because there are very, like out of 100 there is hardly one case where the applicability is not at all found, right? Even the perpetual motion machines, which are not even patentable, they are also considered as having an applicability, right? So similarly, finding a particular prior art which has uh, which has been filed in the similar kind of domain and which is in line with your invention, that can also be treated as having applicability in line with your invention, right?